Yes, guys, what's going on? So, we have on the line one of the most dangerous fighters in boxing today. It's been a while. We had him on the show once before. We've got Keith, one-time Thurman on the line. Keith, how are you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, man. Yourself?
I'm doing very well, man. Very well. Very busy, but doing well on the graft.
Nice, man.
Now, Keith, let's start off by talking about your last fight. Now, a lot of people thought that you struggled in your last fight, and you yourself, you seemed very disappointed in your last fight. But all the judges scored it unanimously the same, 120 to 107. Why the disappointment then if you had a total shutout and you did drop him?
I wasn't that disappointed, man. I schooled the dude. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we outboxed him. You know, we weren't able to hurt him as much, and I know that I could hurt him more because obviously I did drop him. You know, he respected my power, and he never came in to commit. You know, I was happy with my performance. You know, we don't have no complaints, man. Like you said, it was a 12-round shutout. I don't think there was any time that I was in danger in the fight. People said that, you know, some people think I looked bad or whatever, but, you know, rewatch the fight, man. You know, I mean, it was a boxing lesson. You know, I circled, I moved a lot, and I chose to fight the way that I chose to fight that night, man. You know, a lot of times people see fighters in the ring, they see them once, they see them twice, and they think they know what the fighter's going to do. That might be true for certain fighters that are one-dimensional fighters, but if you look at my tape, I bring a different style every time, man, and we brought in the style that was going to shut out Bundu that night.
Absolutely. I myself, I was arguing with many people saying, why do you feel like Keith Thurman struggled in that fight when he won every round and he knocked him down? On top of that, just because he didn't get the knockout doesn't mean that you necessarily struggled in that fight. It was just the manner you fought it might not appeal to all the fans, and people thought you were going to fight in a certain way, but you didn't. So, I don't know, man. I think like just a lot of fans...
This way, let's go over the numbers. And I believe at the end of the fight, the punch count or whatever, they stated that I got hit 62 times in 12 rounds.
We're going to go over that later as well. I've got a little... You know what, let's talk about it now. Like, Keith, there's a little statistic that I want you to try and guess. Out of 4 fighters in 147 pounds, Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, Amir Khan, and yourself, can you guess out of the 4 fighters in their last 6 fights, who got hit with the least percentage of punches landed in terms of punches thrown? So, who got hit the least?
I think somebody threw the video to me, and I think I beat Floyd Mayweather by like 1%.
Yep, that's right. When I saw that, I was surprised, but I thought to myself, you know what, that's true, because Keith doesn't get hit that much.
The person that hit me the most was probably Diego Chavez, and he only was able to land punches for the first 3 to 4 rounds. From the 5th round on, when I made my boxing adjustment, he had just as hard of a time hitting me as anybody else, man. You know, I'm a student of the game, and the world will know one day, you know, that I'm one of the best fighters in the world, hands down, you know. Right now, people run their mouths, and it's all up for debate. You know, it's my job. It's my job to look good every time, and that's how I look at my job. I can't just win, because if I just win, then you have a right to run your mouth. You have a right to say, man, in the 3rd and 4th round, Keith was getting blasted, and then back in the 7th, he got wobbled, and then in the 8th, you know, it looked like he was going to go out, but he held through. And, you know, maybe he did win on points, man, but I think he really got beat up that fight. You guys have never been able to have the opportunity to say that about me, and you won't. You won't get the opportunity because I'm a world-class fighter, and I respect every man that I step in the ring with, and I bring it. I bring my A-game every time.
Now, Keith, you talked a little bit about Diego Chavez. I wanted to ask you, your last fight against Bundu, do you feel that him as a fighter, you've been in the ring with all of them, do you feel that Len Bundu was the best fighter you've been in with? Because you have knocked out Diego Chavez, you've knocked out Julio Diaz, and you knocked out Jesus Soto Caras. Do you feel that Bundu was the best fighter you've been in with, or do you think that he just came to make 12?
No, I mean, you know, just because he didn't get knocked out doesn't make him the best. Zon Zavic didn't get knocked out, and Zavic was the only person that I faced that has never been dropped by me.
Absolutely.
You know, that people don't know, for all of my fights, the 3 fighters that made the distance with me in my whole career, 2 of them saw the mat at least once in the fight. You know, there's only been 1 fighter out of 24 fights that did not get dropped or stopped, and that was Zavik. And I don't think Zavik was the best person that I ever been up against. You know, I can't say that Bundu was the best fighter that I've been up against because he didn't really fight, you know. He's a veteran. He understands the sport. He was an Olympian, you know. So he definitely was intelligent. But to win a fight and to be a really good fighter, you have to have offense. And he didn't show me much offense in my last fight with him. So I can't give him too much fighting credit. But as far as boxing in intelligence, Bundu was definitely one of the smartest fighters that I've had to face. You know, being able to switch his whole career, doing what he's doing, being the age that he was. He turned pro at a very late age, went 31-0 until he fought me, you know. So obviously he had intelligence, man, and I think it showed in my fight. But he just, you know, when I realized what kind of movement he was using, I decided to use my personal movement, and I knew that my movement was going to be harder to deal with than his. I was able to be more accurate, and I threw more punches than him throughout every single round. You know, like I said, my job is to beat the man in front of me, and that's what we do every time.
Absolutely. Now, Keith, on March 7th, you're going to be fighting on NBC against Robert the Ghost Guerrero. Now, this is definitely, in my opinion, this is the best fighter that you have faced, and it is going to be a stern test, and I think the world will see everything what Keith Thurman is all about. But do you think, like, going into this fight, with the fight that you've had against Leonard Bundu, and I don't want to, like, you know, talk too much about that fight. It sounds like I'm being negative. I'm not. I'm just wanting to talk, like, trying to figure out what's going on in your mind. Have you ever considered that with what you said post fight, after the fight against Bundu, that you're gonna try and be more offensive and go forward more? Because you sounded like you should have, like, you wanted to, like, next time you should press the action a bit more. Do you feel that by pressing the action a little bit more in this fight and trying that little bit too hard to look for a knockout, that it leaves you more exposed and you're going to be taking a bit more risk in this fight?
Well, with Bundu, I had a reason why I didn't want to press forward too much, and that's because whenever I found myself on the inside, we had 5 head clashes in 12 rounds. So that means almost every other round I'm hitting his head, and I wasn't even being too offensive in the fight. But whenever I was thinking about it, I was almost running into his head, man, and I knew I was winning the fight from the outside, so I stuck with the outside, you know. I didn't want to suffer a cut or unnecessary damage when I'm winning a fight so easily. So, but I knew personally that, you know, my feet, I was doing a lot of lateral movement, side-to-side movement, and I do feel like I had opportunities, or that I could have planted my feet and possibly backed him up more throughout the fight. But like I said, man, it was real easy. Guerrero, you know, we want to make a statement out of Robert Guerrero. You know, are you going to see me move? Are you going to see me box? Are you going to see me throw bombs? You're going to see me do it all, man, because I bring everything into the ring, you know. I bring the whole arsenal. We don't leave any tools behind, you know.
Definitely.
But I let the fighter I'm fighting show me what strategy I should best use to dismantle him.
Now, Keith, Robert Guerrero, he's got a solid chin. He's known for having a granite chin. It's not going to be easy for any fighter to knock him out. But then again, he does get hit quite a bit. Do you think that this fight is going to go 12 rounds, or do you think that you will be able to stop Robert Guerrero in the distance?
You know, I believe that we have what it takes to stop Guerrero, you know. I fought many fighters that never been knocked down until they fought me, you know. Many fighters who could take a good punch, but they couldn't take my punch. So, you know, I mean, how many punchers at 147 has he faced? Let's talk about that.
True.
You know. So, You know, one thing that he does do, though, you can see it in his last fight. You can see it in the Berto fight. You can see it in a lot of fights where he is taking a lot of punches. He rolls with the punch. He turns his head. He twists his neck. And, you know, I think that protects his chin a little bit more. And sometimes even the temples, you know, he'll keep his face really low. He keeps his chin tucked, and he rolls it around. He rolls it around, you know. So I think he has a little bit of skills of taking away some of the power. But at the end of the day, man, I'm going to be looking for that one time, you know. I'm going to be looking for him coming in and the one that he doesn't expect, you know. But besides that, you know, we always say, you know, if they got a good chin, how's that body doing? You know, so...
yeah, true.
I fought Carlos Quintana. I dropped him in the first round with a left hook to the body, you know. So it's going to be an interesting fight, man. You know, I'm going to hit him high and I'm going to hit him low. And we're going to see how it works, you know.
I think it's very true what you've said about him rolling his head with the punches. I think that's a classic old Mexican little tactic that they've got. Like, I think the American style fighters like to use their shoulders and move out of the way of the punch, whereas Mexicans like to roll their head with the punch. So I think it's very true what you're saying, and it's very interesting. Moving on a little bit from Robert Guerrero and the boxing, I want to talk about what you're doing in the gym, Keith. And could I ask, what are you doing in terms of strength and conditioning at the moment?
You know, we do a lot of road work. We put in a little bit of work on the spin, on the bicycles. We do plyometric training. You know, jump training, jump exercises. I do the P90X, you know, about once a week at least. I got this other gym where we do interval training, you know, so I've just done a diversity of things, man. But at the end of the day, you know, strength and conditioning, you know, conditioning, you got to put in the road work. Strength, you know, has plyometrics is the foundation of most of my strength work, and I incorporated a little bit more of this interval training, which is sometimes it's somewhat plyo mixed in with other forms of squat, core work, leg work, a little bit of weights and shoulder presses and things of that nature.
Interesting. So, moving on from that now, I think we've had to talk enough about boxing and training and stuff of that nature. You're moving to NBC, and this is a huge... It's everybody's talking about it. The Al Haymon move of you, Robert Guerrero, Danny Garcia, and a bunch of you moving to NBC. Adrian Bronner is another. What's your opinion on this move to NBC, and do you think that there's any negatives of moving to NBC?
There's not one single negative, man.
So,
NBC used to be a part of boxing a long time ago.
Yeah.
And now here we are with the opportunity to bring it back to the mainstream. You know, here in the United States, for the past several years, it's been obvious. You can go into any bar in any town, in any neighborhood, sit down, order a drink, and look at the screen, man. And, you know, you'll see all sorts of sports just playing on TV. But you won't really ever see boxing unless it was Friday night ESPN, you know. So NBC and what they got going on here, PBC on NBC, Premier Boxing Champions on NBC Network, they are letting the people know that we are bringing back championship boxing. Some of the highest quality, some of the highest talent in the world, we're bringing it back to NBC, you know, normal network TV, man, where more eyes are going to see it. Another thing I tell people is tune into Sports Center. Sports Center is another real big thing. And watch them talk about boxing. They don't. And if they are talking about boxing, they only say two names, Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. They've mentioned them a few times off and on. I did an interview for Sports Center a ways back, but, you know, only the people who watch boxing really knew who I was at that time. So it's just beautiful, man. I believe that NBC is going to open up the doors for a whole slum of fighters as far as creating a household name, man, and bringing boxing back, back to the Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali generation, where you knew who the heavyweight champion of the world was.
Definitely.
They knew who Sugar Ray Leonard was, Roberto Duran, Marvin Hagler, Tommy Hearns. The people and the public, they knew who these fighters were. There was no argument, there was no debate that those people were some of the best and most entertaining fighters of their generation. And now, I think it's going to be the same just for a whole bunch of other young fighters like myself, and it's a beautiful thing for the sport of boxing. It really is.
Absolutely, Keith. Right, we thank you for your time, Keith, and I really feel that with the shift over to NBC and going back to the foundations of how old school boxing used to be, you go down the street now and you ask people, you won't find a person who won't know Muhammad Ali. And I know Muhammad Ali was big outside boxing, but he did fight on NBC, and I think it will have a knock-on effect throughout the world. And I definitely think that you were one of the fighters, if not the fighter, who can take that number one spot in boxing and really take over the spot. And NBC, I think, is a perfect platform to do it. I would really wish you all the best in your next fight against Robert Guerrero, Keith. Anything you want to say to your fans before I let you go?
Thank you for your love and support, man. Tune in. This is a great fight. You guys know who've been following me that I've been asking for this fight for a long time. I'm happy that the time's here. I'm happy that it's going to be on NBC. If you're not into the movie channels, you guys can go ahead and unsubscribe to your HBO and Showtime, man. And Lex, if you love it that much for your boxing, and you got, because Floyd makes you pay anyways, boxing is back on NBC, baby. Just stay tuned, follow me, and look forward to this knockout March 7th.
Can't wait for it. March 7th, NBC in the UK. It's going to be on here as well, either on Box Nation or... Where is it? Do you know where the fight is showing in the UK, Keith?
To be honest, I do not know the answer to that. I would say, with technology nowadays, do your best to maybe see if there's a NBC stream.
I think it will most likely be on Box Nation. I don't think Box Nation will miss the fight. If Sky Sports isn't showing it, then Box Nation might probably snap it up. So, yeah, people just have to check up on that.
One other thing, for those who want to see little updates on how training camp goes, follow my Instagram at Keith1TimeThurman. Find me on Twitter at Keith F. Thurman Jr. and Facebook as Keith Thurman Jr. Thank you for all your love and support. God bless.